Welcome to Club E. Hi, I'm Rick Brimacombe of Brimacombe and Associates. I am your architect of business growth, and I'll work with you to unlock your potential and amplify the scale of your company. Today, we're talking about Technovation, Minnesota, sparking technology and entrepreneurial skills in girls. Before we get to our session, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Irish Titan is an e-commerce and web development firm. Boulay Group, CPAs and advisors. Highland Bank, a locally owned community bank. Romaine Berg, a digital marketing agency. Minnesota Sales, a sales acceleration firm. A new sponsor, Host Pros USA, a managed service provider of website support, management, security, and reliability. And last but not least, the Network Connect, a catalytic gateway for growing your company. Before we get going, I'd like you to subscribe and like our Club E channel. We need this help because it allows us to let you know when we're going live, as well as to tailor our content to your needs. So I will wait for a moment here as you click the subscribe and like button. It's right down by the video. All right. I also want to let you know that you can now catch our Club E sessions on your favorite podcast platform. So there's multiple ways to hear the great sessions like the one you're going to get today. And as such, I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Lisa Schosser. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
And Lisa's contact information can be found in the comments field. And then there'll be an opportunity a little later I'll tell you about to ask Lisa questions. Okay, as we get going, Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your organization, and the various things that you're up to.
Great. First, I want to thank you, Rick, for the opportunity to meet with you and be part of your Club E network. We were actually connected through one of the dads that had a daughter in our program and said that you would be a great person to meet with. And so far, so good. So, when I think about positive turn and how we kind of came together, I think of my career, and there's been a lot of, kind of unexpected positive turns like that. I started my tech career as a mainframe programmer coming out of college, and I was a mathematics and computer science major, and I love math. Didn't know what I wanted to do with it, and realized that there were a lot of overlapping classes with computer science, so I decided to get a double major. And it was a start to a fun, challenging, and successful career. I started with West Publishing Company, for those that remember that, in St. Paul. And I ended up working at many different business units throughout the organization. I traveled the world. I learned and evolved in a rapidly changing technology environment and worked for that company for 33 years. There was some restructuring of the business, and I jumped at an opportunity to kind of start a new chapter. And from there, I went to the CEO of MHTA, which is now Mintech, and being led by Jeff Tollefson, and he's doing a fabulous job. So shout out to Jeff. And now I'm executive director of Technovation Minnesota. So Technovation Minnesota inspires and empowers girls to leverage technology to make an impact on their communities. We provide free curriculum, mentor guidance, educational resources, and encouragement for girls ages 10 to 18. We have a Technovation Girls program and an Amazon Alexa Skills Challenge program where you build life hacks for Alexa. And we have programs that benefit girls from advanced computer science to beginners. Our program is not just building technology, it's also building business cases and pitches. And so we've really had success in engaging girls who even have a periphery interest in STEM. So, and then we end our season with a huge event called Apppalooza to celebrate the girls and all of their supporters.
Yeah, and when you and I first talked about doing this session, I mentioned that it's near and dear to my heart. My youngest is a to-be sophomore in college, math major, computer science, and Spanish minors. So anyway, you're doing good work, and I've heard great things about the program and look forward to learning more. So thank you for what you do.
Excellent. And I'm glad your daughter is interested in math and computer science. We need her.
Well, she's super excited about it and glad to hear of all the work that you're doing. To our audience, before we get to our event, let's discuss what you can receive for your participation. Again, you can put your questions into the comments field. Today's hashtag is Girls in Tech, TECH. Again, hashtag Girls in Tech. Two winners are going to receive a fabulous swag bag, including the new t-shirt design from Technovation, Minnesota. So everybody's going to want one of those. Again, hashtag Girls in Tech. Two winners are going to get the swag bag, as well as you get an opportunity to submit your questions to Lisa. All right, Lisa, you talked a little bit about your background and how you started with Technovation, Minnesota, but tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I knew about the organization from the co-founder, Sean Stavseth, but it wasn't until I was at a MinTech event called WLIT, Women Leading in Technology. If the folks listening haven't been to one of those events, really great content and a great group of women business leaders to meet with. But I met up with Jean Weiss there, and Jean's the executive director of Code Savvy. And Technovation Minnesota is a program of Code Savvy. So she told me they were looking for a job, looking to post a job for an executive director, and wondered if I'd be interested. And after working for 33 years, I kind of thought, oh, I'm gonna take a break and kind of hang out and kind of figure out what I want to do when I grow up. And she started telling me about it, and it hit all the right buttons. It was about getting girls interested in STEM. I've spent a lot of my career, both personal time and work time, related to getting more women involved in technology, and it was just such a great fit. So I had to jump at the chance to lead and really kind of drive the initiative.
Great. And then does the organization have reach beyond the Twin Cities area?
We actually do. Our two major areas are in the Twin Cities area and then Southeast Minnesota. So like Rochester, Stewartville, Pine Island, those cities. Besides there being great supporters in Southeast Minnesota, so companies like IBM, Mayo Clinic, we just recently received a grant from the Rochester Area Foundation. We've also found a recipe for success in local leadership. So the Southeast Area Group has their own leadership committee, and they run local events which help drive engagement in that area. And then they have representation on our board, so we keep in touch that way. But those local events really kind of bring their community together. And then we all come together at Apppalooza in the Twin Cities for a big final celebration event.
There must be something in the water about Southeast Minnesota. So Brian Berg of Romaine Berg, one of our Clubby sponsors, are from Pine Island. Again, they're a digital marketing agency. So there must be something about the technology in that part of the state.
Yep, they're just doing a great job. I'd love to do the same, kind of take that recipe to Brainerd and Red Wing and St. Cloud and Duluth. I mean, I think all those cities would be great opportunity with great mentors and businesses in there that would create a great support group.
Absolutely. So you've mentioned now Apppalooza a couple of times. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Apppalooza is our celebratory event. So it's a time when all the girls and their supporters, so their families, their mentors, they all come together and give the girls a spotlight to shine. Apppalooza has a junior and a senior category. So as I mentioned, our challenge is to build a mobile app, but the program's more than just that. So the girls also develop entrepreneur skills because they build a pitch and a business case. So what Apppalooza does is it provides them a large audience to showcase their technology business ideas to a panel of judges. So we have a live judging event. They present in front of the judges, and then they are rated and can win fabulous prizes and can go on to global competition. So, some of the prizes that they win can help them actually advance their mobile app and their products and their business to truly become, their next startup.
And a reminder to everybody out there, you can get Lisa's email in the comments field. You can reach out to her if you'd like to learn more. And then also a reminder to everybody, hit the subscribe and like buttons to our Clubby channel, as well as you can pick us up on your favorite podcast platform. I know you also do an event that US Bank hosts, a special challenge. Tell us a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, US Bank has been a special partner, and we're very excited and grateful for their engagement. For the past 4 years, US Bank has partnered with Technovation Minnesota for the US Bank Challenge. And they invite teams of girls to submit their mobile application ideas that incorporate one or more of their US Bank community pillars. And so those pillars are work, home, and play. So for work, they're looking for workforce education, economic prosperity, entrepreneurship, financial literacy. For home, it's focused on neighborhood stability and revitalization. And for play, it's arts, culture, and recreation. And so for the 2020 season, there were 6 teams that were chosen and to be given the opportunity to pitch their mobile app and business case to US Bank executives in the US Bank office boardroom. So go downtown Minneapolis and really get in the V room where things happen there in front of the executives. But unfortunately, the quarantine required us to cancel that live pitch event, but it's been hugely coveted by the girls. They get super excited and nervous. I think about being in corporate and working with so many people over the years. There's a lot of people I know that would jump hoops to get an opportunity to pitch in the boardroom at US Bank. So these girls get a really special opportunity.
Yeah, that's amazing for folks of that age group. So that's a wonderful opportunity you're providing them. So you mentioned quarantine. Have to ask, obviously, topic of the last several months, the COVID-19. Now I got the quarantine. How has that affected Technovation Minnesota? You mentioned the U.S. Bank event, but how else has it impacted your group?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we had to cancel our big event, Apppalooza. So quarantine kind of happened, was at mid-March, and that's kind of in the middle of when the girls were building their applications. And so our big celebratory event, and we were expecting 1,500 people at our event, had to be canceled. But the great part about the program is because we're technology, we're part of a global organization, we actually can continue, even with distance, social distancing. So our mentors, had a difficult time this year because they were trying to figure out home and Zoom calls and how do I connect with my teams. But all of our, didn't think about that. That's my phone ringing. All of our where was I here?
It's
Oh,
a it's
our
a large it's a
yeah.
large sponsor feeling bad that your 1,500 person event got canceled, and they're calling to make a mega donation.
Yeah, I know. I was so good at thinking about all these other things, and like I'm the last person in the world that still has a landline, I think. And so that was that. So sorry about that. Um, but our numbers were down this year. We've had hockey stick growth since 2014. I mean, just phenomenal growth. Our numbers were down this year with just everybody trying to figure out the tools that we need and how they connect with teams. Students were trying to figure out social distancing. But we prevailed. All of our submissions, our registration, all that kind of stuff is all online. So it was really really nice that we could continue with our program, despite sort of everything being up in the air, overnight.
And where were you going to host? I'm curious. That's a big event, 1,500 people. And then have you made plans for 2021 yet?
Yeah, so Best Buy, Corey Berry and Best Buy is a big supporter of Technovation, and they do a lot of work in the Richfield area in building teams. And so they had volunteered and offered their office site as a place where we could host it. And so that's what our plan was. And then we had to cancel it. Everything I'm hearing as far as what businesses are doing and are people going back to work and things like that, is probably still not going to happen in the spring. And so I really think we will do Apppalooza in 2021. It will likely be probably some hybrid model of in person and pitching, live pitches and such virtually.
So you mentioned earlier in our talk that Technovation Minnesota is a program of a larger organization called Code Savvy. Tell us a little bit more about Code Savvy and how you fit in.
Yeah, so Code Savvy is a Minnesota nonprofit organization helping kids and educators become more code savvy through creative educational programs and services. Technovation Minnesota and their educator program are the largest programs under them, but they also do code camps. They do coder dojos where students can bring in their projects, their technology projects, and get one-on-one mentoring. There's an AI racing league. And it's really, Code Savvy is really honing in on underrepresented groups and trying to provide opportunities for these students to learn technology and understand what their capabilities are. It's really about real world experience to kids who represent backgrounds that are traditionally underrepresented in computer science. With social distancing, they started creating some new ways of learning, and so they have a CS to go with Code Savvy out on YouTube. If you look at those videos, there's some really fun things that you can do with your kids, from beginner to intermediate to advanced, kind of tech talent skills. And they also have bites of inspiration, which are videos that they're creating for the educators and give you ideas on sort of how can you work with students during social distancing and still help them learn.
Sorry to put you on the spot. Maybe you don't have that information, off the top, but do you have a sense for how many women graduate in the STEM programs from college as a percentage? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so when I graduated way back when, it was about 34%. That was in 1987. Now it's about 18% of women get degrees in CS.
18%, 1/8.
1/8.
So it's actually gone down.
It has gone down since I've been in school.
That's
Very sad.
sad, interesting, curious. Why do you think that's taken place?
Oh, I think there are lots of reasons. Like when I think about Technovation Minnesota, one of the things we're trying to do is spark interest. When I was with Thompson Reuters, we ran a coding class for students of employees. And the first class we ran, we opened it up to all students, and mostly boys signed up, a couple girls. The girls ended up dropping out. The next class we did, we said it's going to be girls only, and you can bring a friend. And all of a sudden, everybody stayed in. So I think there's a sense of you know coming together, wanting to be with other girls, with your friends. There's schools like Harvey Mudd, in general, it's 18%, but there's schools like Harvey Mudd where their graduation rate for women in computing is over 60%. And they did some really interesting things around kind of renaming their computer science classes. A lot of times when a woman went to college, she felt that she had to already know how to code in order to get a computer science major. And so what they were able to do is offer introductory courses. And the women went in there and said, hey, I can do this. I'm good at this. And they take the next class and the next class, and started to just it's just sort of and also one other thing they did is they allowed women to choose their own projects. So a lot of times computer classes were gaming and warfare type coding projects. And so when you get to choose your own and pick your own projects and things that give you passion and apply technology to it, you have a better chance of staying interested and wanting to do that. So, I think about Technovation, we got the right recipe around, it's girls only team, so you don't get intimidated, and it's focused on your community. What can you do to help your community? And I think those are things that are helping the girls really kind of hone in on that they can do this, and it is interesting and fun. It's not just something for nerds.
And maybe we can turn Harvey Mudd into a sponsor for your organization. Are they based in like the greater LA area, as I recall?
Yeah, somewhere in California. That sounds right.
Yeah, I think greater LA. Well, hopefully somebody out there hears this, turns them on to your organization, and we can convert them into a sponsor. So you've mentioned a little bit about your past and kind of your experiences. What changes have you seen in technology since you received your math and computer science degrees? Obviously, you just mentioned one, which is the percentage of graduation rates from women going down, and that's unfortunate. But what other changes have you seen?
Well, I think that's obviously a big one. And when I think about um, when I graduated, I was a coder, and when I look at the careers and the jobs that are out there now, it's rare to find a career that doesn't have some aspect of technology. And when you think about like finance and some of the formulas and spreadsheets that you're making, you think about marketing and the data analytics and things, and it's like to have that technology background is going to benefit you in any job that you have. I also think of things like I like using this example of OXO. So OXO is a company that started when the founder, Sam Farber, and his wife Betsy took a cooking class. And Betsy was having difficulty with the potato peeler. It was metal. And it turns out, she had arthritis. So it was very difficult for her to hold. And so they worked together and said, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And their early prototypes and what they worked on were kind of, some of the beginnings of inclusive design. And so I have my potato peeler. This is before I even sort of knew of this example, but my potato peeler is an OXO. And you think about inclusive design is not about, inclusive design is about making uh, products and tools that are going to be beneficial to everyone. So it's like, how do you build something that will include the most people, that will benefit the most people? It's not about creating something for the disabled or something for the elderly. It's about pushing those boundaries of design and making life better for everyone. And I think, when I think about those types of examples, I think, the fact that technology is so prevalent in everything we do, I think we need diverse teams to be thinking differently about these problems, like even something as simple as a potato peeler, and how we design and build those tools. And and technology is just one of the many tools that we have of all the products that we use on a day-to-day basis. So we need that diversity in thinking to bring us forward.
And a reminder to everybody in our audience, hashtag girls in tech is your way to put your name in a drawing to get that fabulous swag bag from Lisa. Also submit your questions into the comments field. You can gather up Lisa's email there and also submit your questions. So there's a couple of different ways or groups of people and how they might engage with Technovation Minnesota. So talk a little bit about girls that are interested in the program, what they might do to engage, and then talk a little bit about either sponsors or volunteers or other folks that might want to help in some way.
Yeah, so as far as the girls, we partner with schools and help introduce the program to them. There's been examples of where the girls have actually found the program and wanted to bring it to the school. So they've kind of approached their teachers and said, we really want to do this, and kind of form their team. There's many ways for for folks to get involved. As a company, of course, sponsoring is always helpful. And we've formed really good personal relationships with many of our company sponsors, like US Bank. Cargill is a strong partner as well. I've attended corporate volunteer days to inform employees about what we do and what volunteer opportunities we have. I've worked with community relations people in corporations where I help them with getting our program in their community volunteer tools, where you track hours and things like that. But where we really shine is when the people that are volunteering get to work directly with the girls. So mentors, judges, and volunteers for our event, our key roles in our organization. So for a team, we typically have 2 to 3 mentors, and there might be one that's technology driven, but as I've said already, we have, finance and marketing and sales and kind of all those skills in being an entrepreneur. So, even just project management, you need to manage 10-year-olds, that can be a challenge in itself. So we need all those skills for mentoring, and mentoring is, roughly a 12-week curriculum program. The curriculum's all given to you, so it's just a matter of kind of keeping the girls focused. Judges is a little less intense, but still equally fun. So you do some pre-work before Apppalooza, and you read some submissions, and then during Apppalooza you actually do your the live judging and listen to the pitches. So your commitment would be during that day. And then of course our events. And it's so up in the air now on what are those events going to look like and what kind of volunteers we're going to need. But I'm positive we'll need some for those events, even if they're virtual.
So that mentor, so for somebody who is very interested in that, but maybe a little nervous about how they would do it, you actually give them almost a script or a process to direct them.
Yep, absolutely. So the curriculum comes from our global organization, Technovation Girls, and it's one of the reasons why we partnered with Technovation Girls is because the curriculum is well done. And so there's some they use Thunkable as one of the programming. So it's kind of some teams will actually code in Java or Python, but for the most part they're using kind of more scripted programming languages, which are fairly simple to deal with.
Okay. Question from the audience from Matt, longtime listener. Curious about how many girls have gone through the program, and then kind of the top couple of things that you think they leave the program with.
Yeah, so I think I want to say from the beginning, so it started in 2014. I want to say we've had over 1,300 girls go through the program. In 2020, we had over 350 girls registered. Not that many finished because of the COVID-19, but 350 registered. And like I said, that's been a hockey stick. So I think the first year there were maybe 11 teams, and this 2020 we had over 100 teams. You know, so so lots of girls going through the program. I've heard, when I look at the responses from the girls and what they're learning, probably what people really like is the fact that it's not just coding, that it's the combination. So I've heard girls talk about just really being happy about, like, they learn a little bit about coding, but maybe that's not for them, but they get the understanding of technology, but they get to apply it to marketing and finance and such. There's some that are in the program that, just love the coding and, just do extremely well. And I see, examples of them advancing from like Thunkable, which is more of a scripting language, to, trying things in Java and other languages. We've had repeat teams or repeat girls, go through the program in multiple years. And one of the things I think is cool too is that they've done things like maybe they have a couple different teams and they try some apps. Maybe they try the Alexa challenge one year. And then I've had girls that have decided to become mentors. And so they, instead of actually coding, they mentor another team and kind of help them understand. And it's just a great opportunity to take what you've learned and, maybe as a junior and senior, kind of go back to the 10-year-olds and say, okay, this is how you do it. And how great for, a 10 or 11-year-old to have someone that's, closer to their age, that, sort of gets what they're doing and what they're going through, and to be able to provide that mentorship.
Yeah, that's amazing. With all those people, do you find that the group skews towards the younger age, towards the older age, or is it pretty evenly distributed across the whole range?
I think it's a little bit more in the middle school. We have a few more middle school girls than high school. I assume part of it too is, the older you get, the more things you have to juggle and sort of make work in your limited amount of time. But it's it's um it's not too far off. But I think a little bit more, a few more middle school girls.
And then you mentioned that they find your program and participate through their school. What are a couple of the larger schools that you work with?
Oh gosh. Um, there's, like I said, Best Buy has a real strong presence in Richfield, so Richfield High School. There's St. Paul Academy. I think this year we had 45 schools. Kind of yearly, so it's maybe a little bit down from past years. It's probably more like 50, 60 schools that we had. um, Rochester, you got Century High School, John Marshall. um, it's the bigger ones. And then I recently reached out to the CIO of St. Paul schools. And we're always kind of looking for their opportunities for us to be able to do what we do for schools that maybe are in more need than some of the larger, say, more affluent schools.
So earlier in our talk here today, you mentioned that the way for somebody to get involved with the actual program would be to have a student at the school go to their teacher or the higher ups at the school. That's the right way to make that happen.
If we're not in that school, that certainly works. Yeah, otherwise, like if you're a parent and you really would like your kid involved, that's certainly, as a parent, you can come to us too and say, I'd really like to get a team going at my school. What do I need to do? And we can help work through that process.
And the
It's usually
website.
it's usually just as simple as sort of getting a team and a mentor. Once you have that, then the curriculum and everything is there. So it's just a matter of kind of building that team and having the right leader.
Sure. Lisa's contact information again is in the comments field. Just to do a little extra plug for them, it's technovationmn.org, technovationmn.org. Again, wonderful program that you're doing. Lots of great work. The numbers that you're putting through the program, very, very good work. Thanks for doing that. As you think about our conversation here today and the audience out there, is there kind of one main thing you'd like to leave the audience with, whether it's something you want to reiterate that we've talked about or something maybe we didn't get to?
Yeah, I would say, really asking everyone to be an advocate for underrepresented groups in technology. You think about it, technology is such an important skill for our future. There's not a career choice where an understanding of technology is not an advantage. You think about the rise in automation, so an increase in reliance on algorithms and technology for things like whether someone gets insurance, how likely are you to default on a loan? What schools are your children admitted to? Are you going to get the next job interview? All those things, are part of our daily life. The technology and machines are behind those decisions. So when you think about that, isn't life going to be better for everyone if the team building those are diverse? And you need to have diverse teams to start looking at bias and removing bias, and that's just going to be more likely with teams that are more diverse. And so women are a huge part of that, and Technovation is helping spark that interest. And so it's just really about providing that fair opportunity for anyone to be able to pursue a degree in STEM. And so, really, my ask is that we all become advocates, and looking at and helping, girls and other represented groups in technology really have that, kind of build that spark and have that opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, one last question for you. You've mentioned the interesting things you've done in your career a couple of times. As you look back over your career, was there some important lesson that you learned along the way that you wish you would have learned sooner?
Yeah, probably I'll go back to I love sports and I'm missing sports, so I'm glad they're back on. But I'm a basketball fan, and I love math. And so my math teacher was also my basketball coach. And probably my one piece of advice, and he taught me this early, but it took me a while to sort of apply it to work. And that is, as a basketball player, I was a point guard. So I'm only 5'7", so I'm short compared to my basketball friends. And so I was point guard, had the ball in my hand a lot. My job to set up the offense and put the ball in people's hands that are going to score. And I was making these passes, and my teammates weren't catching them, and I was getting really frustrated. It's just like, what's going on and stuff. And my coach pulled me aside and said, "Know your personnel." And it's like, what? It's like, she should really catch this, and what's going on? And know your personnel. It's like your job as a leader on the floor to set your team up for success. Some of the passes you're passing, like, your teammates not going to catch that 9 times out of 10. And it's your job to make sure that you're putting them into a position to be successful. And when I think about that, it's like it took me a while to sort of, I don't know, gain the maturity as I started to lead teams, gain the maturity to understand how that can apply to, a work situation. But know your personnel, I think, has just been, once I realized it, I think it was a pretty powerful message. And your job as a leader is to remove the hurdles and to really focus on how do you make your team successful. So I'm very thankful to my basketball and my math coach.
Yeah, and that also ties into women and the STEM programs, that being athletics. Actually, sent an article to my two girls a couple of years ago, and they correlated success in the business world post college with girls that were athletes, and in particular high end athletes. And so, yeah, that mix of business and sports and the pursuit of what you're excited about, passionate about, and doing well with is very important for girls.
Yeah. Plus, it gives me a chance to do some things that a lot of other girls won't do. Like, I play golf. I'll be happy to go to the boxes and watch whatever sports. But yeah, I have to say, though, I was just heartbroken when the NCAA basketball tournament got canceled in March. Oh, that's just my favorite.
Yeah, at our household too. So I'm with you on that one. Lisa, thank you very much for your time. Love to have you back again to talk through the good work you're doing. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to talking to you sometime soon.
Thank you so much. I'm really appreciative to be here, and just thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to have you.